So, hello. Hi, I'm Federico Caruso from OBC Transeuropa, which is an Italian online news media, and we are the coordinators of the European Data Journalism Network. So first of all, thanks a lot to IMED for inviting us. IMED is part of our network indeed, together with MIR, and they are our Greek partners. So today, basically, I will talk to you about our network and how we work. I will focus more on the organizational side, let's say, of the network. And I will try to link it also to the theme of this festival, which is trust, because, I mean, to work in a network, you need reciprocal trust. So, in a way, it's a network of trust, of course. This is the current state of the network. You can see there are quite a few partners in different countries. The most recent ones are the Press One in Romania and Tsins in Serbia. I don't know if you can clearly see all the logos, but they are different medias with different audiences, different editorial lines, different skills. There are some partners more focused on data on a daily basis. Some others are more general news media. And so this is one of the strength points of the network, like to profit of the skills of the other partners. So what is EDJNet? I try to summarize it in a few sentences. So it's a network of independent media organizations and data newsrooms, producing and promoting data-driven coverage of European topics in several languages. So we profit also of the variety of countries we cover to reach different audiences in different countries. Our content is published for free, so we encourage other media to reuse it. There's a typo there on the CC BY 4 license, but I mean, we encourage people to reuse our content to make their own stories. And we mainly rely on funding from the European Commission. So I think trust is also about transparency. So this is currently our let's say, business model. So we are funded by the European Commission. And let's see a bit what we do. Very briefly, data-driven collaborative investigations. These are the topics that we covered in the past months. So as you can see, they are around 2 or 3 broad themes that then we tackle with specific investigations, analysis, and data coverage. So one about assisted reproduction in Europe, the impact of COVID-19 in European prisons, and yesterday Mir talked about their contributions to that collaborative investigation. So if you were here yesterday, you had an idea also of the challenges of working on data which is not easy to find and not available often. Another one is more on another theme is European policies. So with the investigation led by Deutsche Welle on the EU Trust Fund for Africa, we tried to assess how this fund actually behaved in reaching the goal that it had. And then another one on detention in Europe, but more on the abuse of preventive detention, and on environment, about broken plastic promises of food and drink companies. here I wanted to show you one of the possibilities that we have, that we explore when doing investigations on data. In this case, Civio, one of our Spanish partners, developed this interactive infographics where you can literally explore the data and also somehow, if you're a woman in this case, put yourself into the data story and see how your rights are treated, are limited in different countries depending on your age, for instance, on your relationships, etc. So this is one of the way we work, and this is just a part of the output of the investigation. We always work on traditional formats like long form stories and interviews, photographs, but of course, speaking of data, also visualization has its own part, but I mean, we explore different formats when we can. And this is another example. It's a work we developed on global warming. In this case, we used Copernicus data about temperatures in the to compare how they changed from the 1960s to the 2010s in all European municipalities. So we matched this data with the geometries of the municipalities and the density, population density maps to be sure to measure exactly the temperature where people live in the cities. And again, you can put yourself in the data, so looking at what happens in your country, in your town, in your city, or in cities of people you know. And this is another way we like to work when we have the possibility to make people explore the data. And of course, again, here we also published articles, etc. So these were just a couple of examples. And speaking of, again, what we do, we focus on producing original data sets, so working together to build data sets that are not there, on data, on topics that we think are relevant. And on this, being a big network is very a strength point, because we can take advantage of the contribution of different people. And for instance, when you have to compare, I don't know, laws on assisted reproduction, if you don't really know the language, it's very hard to make comparisons and to put together those data and make infographics and make and also see where there is something to investigate more. So this is an interesting part that we can do because we are a network with a lot of different partners from different countries. We also work on skills development. So if you're interested in data journalism but don't have the skills, you like to start from somewhere, I would encourage you to follow us on Twitter and maybe subscribe to our newsletter, because, for instance, next week a data literacy course, online course, free online course will start, curated by our partner Data Ninja, Italian partner focused on this, on the skill, data literacy. And then we will do more courses in the future, so you're very welcome if you want to learn something. We also develop tools for journalists, so because sometimes when we work on a data set or an analysis, we use different programming languages or tools, depending on which partner participates in the investigation. We work a lot with R, for instance, and sometimes when investigating on a data set, on a particular set of data, we develop a package of functions that then can be used by anyone for other purposes, for other cases. So we try to empower also the whole landscape of data journalism in Europe. And also we see ourselves as an opportunity hub because within the network, people start to work together, and if trust develops among the partners, then they can decide, for instance, to apply to another funding opportunity, to suggest their own investigative projects and whatever. So, like smaller network work together to deliver other projects, and this has already happened, and we encourage our partners to do it in general, because we think it's another strength point of being so many working together. So a few words on how we work. At the beginning, we started. We were born in 2017, so now the network is 5 years old. We tended to focus on articles. So each partner, we were much less than now, each partner committed to produce a number of articles per year. This was okay, but it wasn't that beneficial in terms of collaborating, because if you have to deliver, I don't know, 20 articles in 1 year, you cannot stay, I don't know, 3 months on one and then you have 19 left. So we experimented another kind of internal organization, what we called the data units. So we decide in a given year we will deliver like 6 what we call big investigations. And then there is an internal pitching session among partners, in which every partner who has an idea, a project that they want to develop, it's proposed to other partners, and it's voted, and we assess how much interest there is, which other partner want to join that data unit, and then once the data unit it's formed, it works more or less like a micro network with its own internal deadlines and periodical checks, etc. So the different partners work together again to develop the idea they had, and this allows us, of course, to go much in depth with the analysis and to have a broader approach on topics. We also work with ad hoc partnerships with external media, but also with NGOs, both in terms of republications and outreach and circulation of what we publish, but also sometimes with NGOs we try to involve them since the beginning, because it happens that they have interesting and data and expertise in one particular field, so it's interesting to also work with them since the beginning to deliver the investigation. It does also happen to work with public institutions. In this case, of course, we didn't partner with them to do the investigations, which is because it's not, I mean, it's good that they remain two separate fields in this sense, but in terms of, again, outreach and data literacy opportunities, again, it proved quite useful and successful. Okay, again, talking about trust, we think that an important part of our work is trying to be as accurate as possible. So we have put in place this system of internal checks. So when a data unit is formed, we have a partner which is not part of the data unit, that is only asked to check that everything is doing fine in terms of methodology and data collection and data processing, so as to be sure that what we are building is correct and trustworthy. Also because, I mean, when you see data, you tend to think of it as a very, I mean, truth to be something you can trust, and so we feel this commitment to be as precise as possible when publishing something. And also we every investigation is complemented by a methodological note where we explain how we worked, how we got this data, how we processed it, what are the limits, what are the possibility to further investigate in the same topic, etc. So this is the approach we have. As I said, the last points are somehow connected. So as I said, we are multilingual, and so every partner writes in its own language, but everything, the main story of each investigation is translated into English and published on our website. But then other partners can, of course, translate it or write their own stories with a national angle, for instance, starting from the same data sets, the same analysis, to reach their own audience. We tend to have a pan-European or at least transnational perspective, because we saw that it's much appreciated. The articles, the stories that have this very broad scope are attract more interest from the audience. So probably there is a need of stories that have this broad angle. And we have one platform, because we have a website which is EuropeanDataJournalist.eu, but this is not the main channel with which we reach our audience. We reach our audience directly from our partners. So again, there is a sort of synergy between our ability to build trustworthy data sets and analysis and investigations, and the trust capital that each partner has with its own audience. So we try to build this synergy. And well, this is it. I'm happy to answer your questions. We have a spot in the Media Village behind this bar, so if you want to stop by and have a chat, we are very happy to talk to you. Another thing I forgot to mention is that we are an open network, meaning that now we are 32, but it can be more. A newsroom can enter, can exit without much formal procedures. So if you are interested, if you work in a newsroom and you are interested in working with data, even if your media organization doesn't have particular skills yet on data, but it's interested in starting, we can talk about it, and maybe you can start collaborating and maybe starting to build these skills. One thing we don't do at the moment is working with freelancers directly because of the structure of the network. We work with organizations of different kinds, but I mean, not with freelancers. So that's it. So, if there are no questions, no.
What are your biggest challenges when you cooperate across borders?
Good question. I will say that sometimes one of the challenges is that each organization has its own habits, and it's not that easy to make things work on organizational terms, like setting internal deadlines that are good for everyone. But we try to keep it simple, and it works. Of course, we have like some internal checks of the network that help us to see if we are on track with what we're doing. Like we do a monthly meeting online. We did one yesterday. We were like 22 organizations together, so it started to become quite challenging to keep things working. But when we can, we meet in person like 2 to 3 times a year, not just to talk, but to work, to make things work, to carry on the work of the data units. We have internal channels like an internal newsletter, a Slack channel. I mean, with all these mechanisms, it's working till now. So, this idea of the data units was very beneficial because, like having 5 to 6 newsrooms working together, that with one leader, it's quite beneficial to make things work. We supervise, of course, the work, it's proving successful. Another challenge is about like when we intend that data journalism in a broad sense, which it's not only about processing big data with complex machine learning models. Sometimes it's collecting data about, as I said, laws. And sometimes it's difficult to agree on a definition because different different countries have different legal definitions of the same thing. Or also statistical institutes of different countries count things a bit differently. So you have to agree on a shared definition and then put it together. And this is part of the explanatory part I was referring to before. Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you very much.